Alright. Millie just plays the Beatles. You know, just a little bit of Yellow Submarine. A little bit of Cuckoo Cuckoo. A little bit of I Am the Walrus. Actually, should I? Yes. Because he's my little scrimblow, and he's in everything. I don't know, the Beatles. What kind of baby are you? Choose your pronouns. What is this game? Woke? Anyway. He, him. That there he, him. This world began to unravel long before you were born. The woke gay baby kind. It began with fogfall. Spectral mist bled from the seams where reality wore so thin it split. And from that fog emerged monsters, inhuman beings with unnatural powers. Some possessed language and intellect. Others were mindless beasts, driven by little more than the desire to slaughter. Oh shoot, we get to have a parasocial relationship now too! Baby, it's always been parasocial. As cities fell and unrest spread, humans united in their fear while monsters thrived in the chaos. And then there's you. You're not even sure if you're human. You were born cursed, with hands that alter the minds of anyone you touch. Choose your backstory. So I'm going alchemist, because that just fits Ryu to a fucking T. The unnamed, a fallen oracle. You were raised as an oracle in a remote temple. The priest claimed your touch bestowed enlightenment, but a visiting mage revealed your curse for what it is. Following the mage's words, you fled in search of the cenobium. You regularly experience unnatural premonitions that rattle your body and soul. An innate sixth sense gives you a heightened awareness of hidden supernatural presences around you. The Hound, a forsaken thief. You were raised by society's outcasts, criminals who accepted you when nobody else would. Your partner in crime, a friend since childhood, helped you steal enough money for a cure, then betrayed you. They left you with only enough coin to travel to the cenobium, your last hope. You have sharply honed social intuition. You can survive and even thrive in the violent underbelly of any city, using your experience with the underworld to get ahead. And then the alchemist, an abandoned mage. An exiled cenobium mage took you in as a child, raising you as her apprentice. She seemed to take pity on your curse, but you discovered that she was cultivating you as a test subject. You fled to the cenobium, seeking a cure. You are an experienced spellcaster with encyclopedic knowledge of alchemy, spellcraft, and history. With a little observation, you can identify the subtle effects of magic. Paralegal. Damn it, Mikey! You betrayed me again. Alright, I'm going to alchemist. Your name is Ryunosuke. You selected he, him pronouns. Your backstory is the alchemist. Is this correct? Uh-huh. The wasteland stretches as far as the eye can see. There's nothing out here but death, the ever-present stench of decay, and countless sun-bleached bones cast like seeds across the barren land. I could say death doesn't scare me, but to tell the truth, I'm desperate. It's been 2 weeks since I joined a caravan bound across the wastes. Finding a group that would accept me was a trial in itself. I should turn on some music. It's so damn quiet in here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. If I could find something that's just chill. Yeah, you sing so loud, baby. I'll hear you all the way over here. What's this sound like? Oh. The bull in my head. Alright. As rations grew sparse and my canteen ran dry, I began to despair. But then I saw it. Why, what? Ta-da! Iridia, the city of knowledge. One of the last bastions of humanity left in the world, and home to the famous academy called the Cenobium. All the world's knowledge gathered in one place. If there's anywhere I'll find a cure for my curse, it's there. All the world's knowledge gathered in one place. I didn't hit auto. Hello? All that stands between me and a cure is the final stretch of salt-soaked wastes. Or so I think, until I see the first tendrils of fog snaking beneath the wagon. Is this fogfall? My stomach sinks at the very whisper of it. A silent storm more devastating than fire. Dangerous in cities, but a death sentence beyond them. A thick blanket of fog engulfs us. Smothering out the lantern's light, the wagon lurches to a stop. An eerie silence heavy as the mist falls over us. The only warning we get is a strangled scream. Stay back! No! The cry dissolves into wet gurgling. Then, the wagon violently pitches to the side. I hit the ground hard, the air punched from my lungs. Suddenly, the music is a little bit inappropriate. When I open my eyes, adrenaline lends sudden, awful clarity to the carnage around me. A traitor I once shared bread with lies down in the mud, their back reduced to long strings of torn muscle, gleaming gristle, and exposed bone. Bodies litter the wasteland. I try to rise, but my ankle explodes with pain so blinding, white blooms across my vision. Only when my eyes adjust do I see the dark shape in front of me. Squelch! A soulless stoops over the twisted form of a caravaner. I freeze, but it swivels its head. A dozen bulging eyes twitch in my direction and blink as one. A screech! The soulless lets out an ear-splitting shriek and runs at me. But right before it reaches me, the beast barrels past, vanishing into the mist. Distantly, a horse screams in the dark. I need to move now. Which way, pony boy? We're gunning for the city. I take off, running deeper into the haze. The fog is so thick that I fear I'm headed in the wrong direction until I see a dim pinprick of light emanating from the shadow of a spire. It's faint, but it's enough. I came too far to die here. Rapid footsteps echo all around me. I turn in circles, frantically searching the opaque mist for the source, but the fogfall twists and stretches sound. Suddenly, the caravan's driver bursts forth from the fog. Our eyes meet too late. He slams into me, knocking me to the ground, and slips in a patch of mud. The Solus falls on him as soon as he slows. It catches the driver by his throat and rakes his stomach with razor-sharp claws. He comes apart like wet paper, spilling intestines and viscera in a steamy tide. Fighting the urge to heave, I claw frantically through the slippery muck for a handhold. Shit! My hand catches on the jagged edge of a rib jutting from the water. Bandages unfurl around the gouge torn deep into my palm. The pain's quickly forgotten when a hand closes around my wrist. Can you stand? One of the travelers from the caravan leans over me. We need to run! They reach for my hand, and I realize too late that my bandages have come undone. Oh, you poor sweet summer child who would just wait. No, don't touch me! The sensation of their thumb brushing the back of my hand sends a shiver down my spine. All it takes is one touch, and in the space of a breath, my curse takes hold. No, please touch me. Their lips peel back into a deranged grin. No, I've seen this face countless times before. This is my curse. Madness of my own making. Their grip on my hand tightens until pain radiates from my knuckles. Oh, he's so happy to see us. Let me go. Suddenly, clammy hands crush my throat, choking off my breath. Die! Spit bubbles at the corner of their mouth and flecks my face. The edges of my vision darken as my lungs scream for air. Punch him. My nails gouge deep into the traveler's wrists, but no matter how much blood I draw, they don't flinch. The more I struggle, the tighter their grip grows. My pulse hammers in my ears, slowing with each thudding beat. This can't be happening. I'm going to die. And not because of the fogfall or the soulless, but because of my own curse. Tears sting my eyes. No, not here, not like this. The hands drop from my neck, leaving me wheezing for air. My lungs burn with each ragged cough. My vision clears and the traveler's face takes shape, hovering inches from mine, lips still split in a macabre smile, even as blood seeps down between their teeth. They give one last shuddering breath, then slump over the claws hooked through their stomach. The soulless shoves the body aside, and the glowing eyes studying its leathery skin, thin as though grinning. There's a flash of claws, red spill across my vision. I thought there'd be pain, but as I sink into the murky water, all I could feel is the grit of silt filling my mouth in the icy embrace of shallow water. Distantly, I notice an arm resting among an outcrop of reeds, mine neatly severed at the elbow. It should have taken both arms. Without them, maybe I could have survived. Maybe I could have had a home. Instead, I'll die cold, alone, and face down in a desolate wasteland. A fitting end for a monstrosity like me. Ellipses. If this is death, it's not as bad as I feared. The cold is gone, as is the choking stench of bog water. I could drift forever, cocooned in oblivion, until all thought and sensation vanished. No curse, nobody howling at me in madness and terror, nothing at all. The thought has a terrible appeal to it. But the next moment, I take a reflexive breath. Air pours into my lungs, then out again in a ragged rasp. Feeling comes flooding back, warm cloth on my bare skin, a firm surface underneath me, a strange tang of sulfur in the air. Do not be afraid. An angel? It is. I twist my head towards the voice. Tears flood my blear vision at the bright glow of lamplight. Try not to move. The voice is calm, steady, and commanding. But more importantly, it's a stranger's voice. Hot! One thought cuts through my mental fog. I have no idea who this is. I'm completely at their mercy. Hot! Stay away from me! My words come out in little more than a creaky whisper. I clamp my mouth shut, hating how weak and helpless I sound. It's Daddy! No. No? Who the hell is this? Sit up. I manage to push myself up on one elbow, but my head swims and my surroundings give an alarming lurch. A stubborn patience. I don't have the strength to dignify that with a response. Instead, I pull the sheet up higher and wait my eyes until my vision clears. Is he stranger towers over my prone form. Warm light reflects off his pristine medical coat. I instinctively shrink back, and that's when I notice that I'm completely naked except for a thin linen sheet. What? Come from Daddy. Naked, lying on a low cot with a pair of sharp golden eyes watching my every move, the man's gaze flickers to my exposed, unbandaged hands. I plunge my hands under the sheet to hide them from sight, though it's too late. He must have noticed what they looked like. Strange, cursed, inhuman. I brace myself for his inevitable suspicion and disgust, but his expression doesn't even flicker from that courteous smile. He just watches in placid silence as I struggle to make sense of my surroundings. Where am I? Who are you? Be calm. You're safe here. Whoever this is, he clearly has no idea or what I am. I've never been safe anywhere with anyone. Even my own mentor, my teacher, thought I was nothing but a convenient specimen to be used and discarded. I scowl, pulling the sheet protectively around myself. Where are my clothes? The man's golden eyes narrow slightly. A sharp sigh rustles the papers in his hands. I see you are not to be dissuaded. Your clothes were torn to shreds when I found you, but I procured replacements. Ta-da! With a soft creak, he stands from his chair, giving me a better view of my surroundings. I seem to be in some sort of medical clinic. Bottles of silvery alchemical concoctions line the counters in neat rows. The air makes my nose twitch, a faint whiff of smoke and something distinctly metallic that I can't quite place. The doctor produces a large, dense bundle of cloth, which he sets at the foot of my cot. He's easily a head taller than most, and I have to crane my neck to look at him. Tall man. Could you step out a little bit? Just step out through that door? I lift my head, looking defiantly into those golden eyes. Could you step out first? I'm not getting dressed with you standing here. To my surprise, the man's mouth quirks. I was not planning on watching. Still smiling to himself, he disappears through a narrow door. I hear a soft click as the lock turns behind him. I count to 3 in the sudden silence. When I don't hear any more footsteps, I reach for the bundle of clothes. A niche on my elbow stops me short. I reach down absently to rub at it, then freeze when my fingers meet a neat line of stitches. I know what I saw. That beast took my arm clean off. And yet, my arm shows no sign of injury apart from the black stitches poking through my skin. I gingerly flex my fingers, feeling my heart race at the sensation. This is impossible. I should be dead, or at the very least gasping out my last breaths. I squeeze my eyes shut, waiting for the pleasant dream to unravel, to wake up bleeding out in the swamp. But nothing happens. The seconds tick by, and my arm remains resolutely healed, my surroundings pristine and quiet. In numb disbelief, I reach for the replacement clothes and begin stiffly pulling them on. They're thicker and warmer than mine were, with a black woolen cloak to go with them, but there's one thing still missing, my bandages. The golden-eyed man didn't leave me with any, even though I knew he saw my hands. I slide off the bed and take a few unsteady steps towards one of the drawers. If this is indeed a doctor's clinic, there must be bandages somewhere. I start opening drawers at random, and of course, that's when the door swings open once more. Are you looking for something? I whirl around, clutching a thick roll of clean bandages. I try to step back from him, but my legs bump up against the edge of the cot. Hot! Your caution is understandable, though if I meant you any harm, you would know. That doesn't make me feel better in the slightest, but he makes no move towards me, so I quickly wind the bandages around my hands. The glowing scars and mottled skin disappear under a layer of clean white cotton. May I ask why you need additional bandages? I clench my jaw. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he asked about my hands. though the way he does it is strangely roundabout. We're gonna decline. Well, that's a very personal question, and I don't really want to answer. Is that so? Surely you realize that I can only help if you tell me what ails you. An involuntary snort of laughter escapes me. Where would I even begin? Would he even believe me if I told him? No, best to keep my curse to myself for now, and learn more about him first. Who are you? My name? You may call me Crush. And where exactly am I? Iridia, which I assume was your caravan's destination. I can think of nowhere else for a group of travelers to go. Iridia, so I made it to the city of knowledge after all. I should feel relieved, but all I can manage is a vague sense of increasing unease. How did I end up here? I just noticed his buttons look like eyes. That's an awesome little detail that they added. I brought you to my clinic, of course. You were the only survivor from the caravan, barely clinging to life. You needed immediate treatment. Which you provided? Yes. He says it so simply, as if I'm a small child and he's explaining basic addition to me. I frown and flex my fingers on my recently healed arm. Aside from being a bit stiff, it feels fine. Thoroughly attached to me. You're saying that you stitched my arm back on. Pardon? A soulless attacked the caravan. It ripped everyone to shreds. It tore my arm clean off! But when I woke up here, I spent my entire life learning from a Cenobian mage, and I know of no alchemy or magic that could reattach a severed limb. Even if he somehow could heal me by magic, I should detect traces of it, but I sense nothing out of the ordinary at all. The doctor, Karash, pinches the bridge of his nose. He sits back down in his chair, quiet for a long time. I do not know where you come from, but Iridia is the city of knowledge and deadly secrets alike. Information is power, and it is most unwise to give or receive it freely. Since you have refused to divulge your secrets, I will not divulge mine. I do not even know your name. You are new to Iridia, so I will overlook this specific breach of etiquette. However, you should not expect others to extend the same courtesy. Do you understand? He looks pointedly at my freshly bandaged hands. Loath though I am to admit it, he has a point. I am also a complete stranger to him, and if he's telling the truth, he saved my life. I take a deep, steadying breath. This time, when I speak, I sound a bit more like myself. Ryunosuke. My name is Ryunosuke. It is a pleasure to meet you, Ryunosuke. There's a little more warmth in his smile, his polite demeanor back in an instant. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for saving my life. I chance to smile in return. Even if he won't explain how he did the impossible, there's no doubt in my mind that I'd be dead if not for Karash. Think nothing of it. Sippy sippy. I'm not sure if he's just being excessively courteous, but his words only raise more urgent questions. But I have to ask, why did you save me? You don't know me. The question seems to startle Karash. I could hardly leave you to die in the wastes. Assisting those in need is the very essence of a doctor's duty. I've never met a doctor who also handed out free clothes. My fingers find the edge of the cloak. There's a subtle but delicately embroidered pattern around the hem. I try not to think about what kind of price Crush might ask for such well-done clothes. No, I suppose not. Forgive my presumption. I rarely come across so fascinating a patient. I blink. What did you just say? I simply meant that few would cling to life so resolutely, or brave such a perilous journey to Iridia. I could not help being curious about you, Ryunosuke. His voice dips to a soft murmur, and he abruptly looks away from me, all cute. You're pretty curious yourself. Am I? Well, I haven't forgot about my arm! I wiggled my intact fingers at him. Clearly not. But you haven't asked me for any payment either. I require none from you. Travelers do not have an abundance of coin, and it would be unethical to leave you destitute in a strange place. I fall silent, not unsure what to say to that. Nobody would help a horror like me for free. There has to be some kind of catch or trick, right? A loud knock at the front door stops our conversation cold. It spares me from having to say anything else. Duty calls. Oh god! Unfortunately, you are not my only patient today. The knocking grows more insistent, and Karash lets out a tired sigh. Please, wait your turn! Though he says it quietly, the clamor on the other side of the door abruptly stops. Do you need anything before you leave, Ryu? Oh, between the soulless attack and my miraculous survival, I've almost forgotten why I came to Iridia in the first place. I need directions to the Cenobium. The Cenobium? The look on his face is downright chilling. He pauses, choosing his words with cold deliberation when he speaks again. Whatever you seek, it is very unlikely you will find it there. The Cenobium's gates open for precious few visitors. Even if they did, you would not like what you found inside. My heart sinks. Is he saying that I came all this way for nothing? Risked life and limb for nothing? No, that can't be. I've only just arrived, and Iridia is the largest city still standing. There has to be a cure for me here. Then, if not the Cenobium, where would you suggest? Do you know anyone else in Iridia? I shake my head. Then I suggest a local guide. Head to the Wet Wick and ask for Leander. Excuse me? The Wet what? The Wet Wick. He sounds deeply unamused. Follow the postings advertising Leander's bloodhounds. They are difficult to miss. When you meet Leander, tell him I sent you. That isn't much to go on, but Courage points towards the clinic's back door. You will be safe so long as you do not draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done. I've always been a magnet for the worst sort of attention. If you require my assistance, you may return whenever you wish. Though he's smiling, there's a note of finality in his voice. Resigned to my dismissal, I slip out the back door. I find myself standing in a narrow and rather gloomy alley. I pulled a new cloak up over my nose, stepping over the contents of chamber pots that have been emptied into the streets. Disgusting. Something weighs heavily inside one of the cloak's pockets. My coin purse. Everything is still inside. Every last coin that I'd scraped together for the journey to Iridia. Doesn't even look like it was opened. There were so few coins to begin with, they probably weren't worth stealing. I glanced back at the clinic's closed door. Crash didn't take any payment. He didn't even ask for a future favor. But he also said that in Iridia, secrets are power. Does he expect me to give up mine at some point? That's not exactly a comforting thought. Still, no matter why he did it, Karash gave me a second chance and a lead on where I might find help. I'd better get going before he changes his mind. I squeeze out of the alley and into the crowded main street. The line outside Karash's clinic stretches down the road already. Two thin peddlers queue alongside weathered elders. If any place is in desperate need of a free clinic, it's this one. The cobblestones are treacherously rough under my feet, deep grooves worn between them by regular flooding and decades of hard use. I knew Iridia was a river city, but I didn't expect it to look so eroded. The buildings are tired and dilapidated, all crammed together in narrow streets. A child darts by, clutching something greasy wrapped in paper. The smell of fried food drifts over to me. My stomach gives a faint gurgle. This morning's catch, fried hot and fresh. Not too many eyeballs today. That sounds disgusting, but I'm starving. So I duck my head under the stall's grubby awning. A large fish leers up at me, its 3 bulging eyes still visible through the thick layer of crispy batter. The vendor gives me a gap-toothed grin. What's the cheapest thing you've got? The vendor points at a metal basket of what looks like long strips of savory fried dough. Fresh along, lads! 3 copper apiece. Don't burn your mouth! I take the coin out, counting them gingerly. At this rate, I might not even be able to afford dinner. Reluctantly, I drop the payment on the counter and take my meal. 2 streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this quarter are a dizzying riot of colors, painted walls and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in the open doorways. Musical voices call out invitingly. Incense mingles with the pungent scent of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. My home! I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a smiling man wearing a single dagger-like earring and the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circles the artwork. If Leander is the leader of the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of identical posters around a corner and nearly hit my head on a precariously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, faded orange letters read, "The Wet Wick." Sippy sippy. The facade of the building looks like it's seen better days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. Give me the green stuff. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday, yet most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. I'm no stranger to bars. Sometimes I would take my books to a local tavern for a change of scenery, but I much prefer quieter places. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show! 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 The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar, and their booths rush towards the center of the room and ascend toward it. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught swept along in the ale-stench current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out my elbows as the present body grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself. But the crowd has stilled. The chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Boobies. Seriously? You dogs again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. Man. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by the thick lapels of a trench coat. This really is the last time, all right. This time, when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. But nothing is as captivating as a smile. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and the dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green... Oh no, he's hot! A flash of pale green light. Real magic. No ordinary stage tricks. Blind me. Lilies! As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist, and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. My mouth hangs open, and not just on account of the impressive performance. There was no incantation, no spell circle. I've never seen something so beautiful and intricate conjured so effortlessly. Leander must be an incredibly gifted mage. No wonder Kadash recommended him. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now, who could use some luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person gathered turns to stare at me. No! Don't look at, don't perceive! My voice comes out weaker than I like. Someone else might appreciate them more. Leander's smile widens, as though he didn't hear me at all. You seem like you could use something to brighten up your day. But as he speaks, the lilies fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Leander steps off of the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. All right, bloodhounds, get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. You want to know what I thought when I first saw this guy? He looks like a mixture of the protagonist from Killing Stalking. And I think that's why I think he is going to have some kind of yandere bullshit on his story. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulder presses against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly, with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprise me, and add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting generosity, but I had to admit I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. Water's good. Not much for alcohol. Water's fine. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbow on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower eyelids. He's so... His eyes wander over me in return. But when they lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the Wick? Kurosh sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but it immediately falls right back into place. So it's about work. The bartender pushes a pair of glasses our way. I don't realize how thirsty I am until the cool water touches my lips. I drain the water in a single gulp. Leander takes a deep swig of his beer and lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell you bring the cenobium in here? Throw him out! This is bloodhound territory! The vitriol catches me off guard. From the angry looks thrown my way, it's clear I've broken some unspoken rule just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking, as though he hasn't noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. The cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind the wet wick, where layers of frayed bloodhounds posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Crash didn't send you here for help with the Cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. Yet here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the Cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Karash told you the truth. The Cenobium's dangerous. Get on the bad side and they'll imprison you if you're unlucky, or torture you if you're not. Torture? My teacher never described anything like that. But the Cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The Cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. And any place held answers, if any place held answers, it would be the Cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think, but things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there are solutions to every problem, and alternatives to every solution. Claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kirash pointed you to the Bloodhounds. Let us help you. Whether it's hunting soulless, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables, we can do it all, and free of charge. I'm shaking my head before he's even finished his practice speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious. And if the Cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along, as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out. That is, if you'll tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the Cenobium, but if his show was any indication, then he's even stronger than the mage who raised me. She couldn't do anything about my curse, but maybe... I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out in a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh no, I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and filing my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his gloves off. He tugs his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand. A prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm. Enchantment for protection, but I'm already shrinking backwards. Okay. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him. To see his kind face twisted into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you came from, your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in this city, you'll see 1,000 curses and thrice as many cures. Do you really think Karash would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium. Better even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile. Then, with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine, but if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first if it makes you feel better. With each joint I expose, I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. A touch. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, expecting to see the worst, Leander only grins. See? It can't be. This time when I reach out to touch Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Ellipses. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, pick up every single detail. The grooves of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand. Not without dire consequences. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to excitement.
Let him go. No, too much. Too much hand-holding. No!
I draw my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Ryunosuke. You're right to hide this from me, Ryu. That curse of yours, it's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I could tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. The wet wick is noticeably quieter. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left, or did my luck grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter. You know I always keep the corner room open for your escapades. Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained. And I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend Ryu. Sure. Stay as long as you like. You two have fun. Escapades, huh? Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day's worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound rates. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, anything you need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small, but weighs heavy in my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone free meals. Thank you. Go explore, Ryu. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers. But if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at the gleaming bronze key before tucking it into the pocket of my cloak for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. The air clings sodden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless streets look barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone. Only a pair of crows remain quibbling over stale crusts in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Crush and Leander both made it clear that the Cenobium can't be trusted. But I came so far and dared so much. I need to see the Cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, until a puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. Is it him? The shadow runs down the street in rivulets. Formless, dark spreads like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch. A muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep I feel it. I want to run, to scream, but I feel trapped as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws around me shut. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop.
Whore!
A monster. That much is clear from a glance. But that could clearly be mistaken from human were it not for the tufted ears that the tail curled around his ankle. Or the dusk pink eyes with pupils that sharpen like needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me unsettlingly of blood where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulders to make sure he's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger props his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I've seen are the Wick's drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye.
Whore!
With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. It turns on his chain, glittering when it catches the light. My hands fly to my cloak's pocket and, sure enough, find them flat. He crooks his finger, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. I'm still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that the stranger's shadow flickers at the edge of my vision. I always attract the worst kind of attention, but I can't get rattled now. Who said that's my key? You don't know. Who said that's my key? It's not mine. Could be somebody else's. His smile is wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. A city like this, somebody might take advantage. Bald-faced lie said without a hint of irony.
Yeah, buddy! Wait, look at those thighs! I love this man. If I could buy his standee, I would. Look at that snatched waist for holding! I want him!
He must have stolen it somehow. Creamy thighs. I just want to bite him. I approach the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. He doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. The stranger's chain softly clinks with the tilt of his head. His ears flick. Keeping your distance? I'd be stupid to trust you. You think I stole your dinky little key from all the way over here? He gives me an exaggerated sigh. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. And then there's the shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into that shadow, I feel something other than dread. I do love his harness too, yeah. My face grows hot. That's not what I meant. I'm flattered, really. Where sex my trade, I might make an exemption for you. How about half off for a handy... Or you can just hand over my key. Ask nicely and I might even let you tug my tail. Just throw it here. So some spindly little street urchin can catch it and run. He raises my key and tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I could just claim your room for myself. Not that I'd be caught dead slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveler, what misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with derision. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pig pen? I wonder. He listlessly watches the arc of my key swing around his finger. The weather's shit, the food's dreck, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe. Unless... Dagger-sharp eyes flick towards me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. No. By now, my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've ever heard of. You know what? We're gonna flirt back. How'd you know that I spent all my money, starved, and nearly died in a swamp, just so I could crawl into bed with the first thirsty monster I saw? That earns me a burst of breathy laughter. He gazes at me under his dark lashes. Aren't you funny? Could you be any more obvious? I have been told subtlety's not my strength. So, your place or mine? Ah, fuck. I'd invite you if I had my key. If only I had my key, then I might be able to invite you up, His languid gaze glides from me to the key in his hand and back. Come, take my hand and we'll go together. The more he flirts, the more convinced I become that this is some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have tricks up their sleeves. And something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. I don't know what you want or why you're messing with me, but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack or bite. I won't bite hard unless you beg me. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Oil! Right down the gullet! Delicious! Wash it down with some garlic. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a traveling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. Their luteus is utterly exquisite. Truly a performance to die for. It's garlic olive oil lamp. No, it's garlic olive oil lamp now. You're eating a garlic olive oil lamp. Or is it a garlic lamp that's powered by olive oil? That'd be very smoky. There's life in this dreadful place if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's gaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his finger. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. High town, low town. I know Iridia like the back of my hand.
Ugh, sippy.
What about the cenobium? Do you know where that is? His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it, that absurdly large tower looming over the rest. It's a little hard to miss. He must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. The cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can show you things those stuffy boars in their limp dick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Oh? Have you some pressing matters at the cenobium? Lunch dates with librarians? Tea time with the most esteemed abbess? That's my business. What's it matter to you? I square my shoulders and amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss. The stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand towards me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon my finger... typo! But as soon as my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey! He yanks me down and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel under his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them, even as his fingers dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood on you. You reek of death and the road. And that fucking doctor. His voice, once silken, lowers to a smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he pulls me closer. And something else. He murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go! I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But just when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His wide, flat eyes gleam with naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both... Veer! The stranger's ears flatten, and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, massaging it where his grip left grooves in the bandages. The stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her cenobium uniform is nearly identical to the one my mentor kept tucked away in her closet. I leave you for all of 10 minutes, and you're making trouble again. Will you quit harassing the tourists? The stranger, Veer I take it, rolls his eyes and flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see this as a friend of mine? A natural liar. He grins at me and his tail swishes minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Veer cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice. Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Danger's drawn to you like a moth to flame. It will always find you, given time. The woman clucks her tongue as though she's heard this recital 102 times. Word of advice! Don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to drowning men for the sheer enjoyment of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Veer. Oh, please. Any friend of yours knows it's true. Now hold still. Veer Veer rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line of his neck. And suddenly, it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A heavy iron chain wound around a hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Veer posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a keyring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on, unless your friend's tagging along on our merry little Solace hunt. They're hunting for Solace inside the city? Words momentarily fail me. The woman regards me with a polite, if tight, smile before marching down the stairs. Fear lingers.
Oh, God.
He stretches his arm over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the way his stomach flattens when he arches his back. Ah! Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed, Veer hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hasn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned? The Lovetian knot? That the one where you take 3 fingers and... Actually, don't tell me. Knowing you, it's disgusting. Veer's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. Oh, wait! Reflexively, I shove my hands into my pocket and find it. The room key. I pull it out of my pocket and raise it to the light, just to be sure. A nagging feeling distracts from my relief. I don't know what Veer's game was, or what he wanted from me. All I know for certain is that the Cenobium saw fit to leash him. A fate I could share, if that's what his vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns gently swaying in the breeze to the Cenobium faintly visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need, then I could put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river that splits Iridia in two. A colossal bridge arches over the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing ever uphill towards the distant tower. I'm so sorry, my voice is so cracky today. I had such a long day at work. So many people getting last-minute flowers and candies for their sweethearts. God damn it. Or themselves, I don't know. Hours later, legs aching, sweat beading on my forehead, I finally find what I was searching for. The Cenobium of the Luminous Void. It stands at the highest point of Iridia, surrounded by cold white walls. Well-dressed people stroll down the walkways, paying no attention to the massive tower in their midst. I'm the only one standing before the gates. I crane my neck up and up until the top of the Cenobium tower disappears into the clouds overhead. The gates are so heavily enchanted that even standing near them sets my teeth on edge. Alchemically reinforced locks, invisible sigils of alarm, and who knows what else. Knocking seems like a terrible idea, but I don't see any other way of making my presence known. I'm halfway up the steps when something moves in my peripheral vision. Is it them? A shadowy figure crouches beneath the white of one of the white walls. They reach out and tug on a vine, as if testing its strength. Oi! You there! The shadow vanishes as quickly as I spotted it, and a gaunt-faced man in a crisp charcoal uniform marches up the steps towards me. Ugh, another tourist. Get out of here once you're done gawking. Oh, thank you, Maddox. That's very sweet. A dismissive wave accompanies his equally dismissive words, and he turns on his heel without even waiting for an answer from me. I look back at where I saw the intruder, but there's nothing, just the leaves glowing gently in the cool breeze. Blowing, not glowing, god damn it me. I step away from the gates, hopelessness washing over me. Hello. I whisper, so close I could feel the warm brush of breath on my skin. I instinctively jerk away, but there's no one beside me. Halfway down the staircase, I spot a woman swaying in the breeze. She's gaunt as a rail, her blouse moth-eaten. Porcelain maid, I'm unable to take my eyes off her. Not because of the way she smiles a little too widely, or the way her tousled braids look unbrushed for days. But because her eyes shine a vibrant, unnatural crimson. I'm both entranced and unsettled by their subtle glow. These days, you need a miracle to get in there. I'm unsure how to respond, or if I even should. Say nothing. After the experience I've just had, I'm not too keen on indulging strangers with small talk. Despite my silence, she maintains her unflinching stare and smile. Lucky for you, I have miracles for free. Whatever she's selling, I'm not interested. My words come out in tired breath. No thanks. I start down the stairs, but she abruptly steps into my path. She turns her back to me, and before I can react, she slips her fingers under the lacing of her collar, stripping out of her blouse in broad daylight. What are you doing? As warm fabric unveils her bare skin, my panic is smothered by cold horror. A misshapen, sunken scar carves into the woman's body. Pitted, gnarled skin snakes down her shoulders, blooming from a gaping hole in the back of her neck. A shuddering breath escapes me. The fuck? By the looks of it, the disease that afflicted this woman ate away at her spine, leaving her with a hollowed vertebrae at the back of her neck. Disgusting. How is she able to move or breathe? It's impossible. She shouldn't be alive, and yet... The power to cure anything could be yours too. The power of the sea spring. The woman slides back into her blouse and deftly laces it up. If I've caught your interest, then follow me. It's only a short walk away. Without another glance, she leisurely strolls down the Cenobium stairs, loose braids bobbing behind her. The edge of her scarf peeks out from under her collar. I stand there, wordless, until I manage to regain my bearings. It's a twisted miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. This could be the stupidest decision in my life, but what choice do I have? I take a final look at the Cenobium's shut gates, then follow her down the steps. We descend from the higher streets, leaving behind their gilded decadence as we cross the river. The wet, derelict districts feel more familiar to me. But the crimson-eyed woman takes me farther, then farther still, until I'm met with an all-too-familiar sight.
The fog fens!
My gut lurches when I face the open horizon. The city's outskirts are hardly recognizable in daylight, and probably safer for it, but venturing beyond Iridia's walls is a gamble I wasn't prepared to take so soon. Keep going straight, and the sea spring will reveal itself to you. I bark out a bitter laugh, loud and involuntary.
This is a setup. This has to be a setup. As soon as I step out there, some friends of yours will ambush and mug me.
If I wanted something from you, I would already have it. She says it so lightly, I almost believe her, even if she looks so physically capable as a toothpick. You're as safe inside the city as outside of it. Truthfully, the territory before you is the safest of all.
What do you mean, territory?
This region belongs to Ace. Most people know him as a gang leader, but he's much more than that.
I squint against the empty wastelands. Only a fool or someone with nothing to lose would leave the city. Apparently I'm both.
But if this sea spring cured her, I need to see what it can do for me. I set off into the wastes. Over my shoulder, the woman calls after me. Good luck, Rio. I hope we meet again.
My heart pounds with each step I take from civilization.
For what seems like an eternity, I force each foot forward, one step, then another, until a realization hits me. I never told the woman my name. Something pierces the horizon ahead of me. A building nestled into a tall cliffside, but so starkly out of place it might as well be a hallucination. It drips with extravagance and honeyed mahogany, an ornate jewel of architecture. A row of dark silhouettes stand out on the horizon. Trees, I think, until I'm close enough to realize that what I mistook for branches were spikes and jutting tendrils. Soulless, several of them watch me in the distance like statues. I don't think, I just run.
Exploding into a messy sprint, I push my legs as fast as they'll take me towards that decorated building. Oh, sippy sippy. Flashes of last night chase me. The gushes of blood and screams of death. The smell of burning flesh and sour bile. I can't go through that again. I won't. Next thing I know, I'm dashing up wooden stairs and crashing through towering double doors. Sukana's lair. I gasp for air, my lungs burning from exertion. I'm desperate to be safe, but when I process my surroundings, it's more hellscape than sanctuary. Blood flows all around me, overwhelming my vision with a lurid, unholy red. Instinctively, my hands leap to my mouth. But the rotten stench of blood never comes. Instead, a smoky scent hangs in the air, sharp and spiced. I swallow thickly, convincing myself that it's not as gruesome as it appears. This has to be Sea Spring, the place that grants miracles. Pulling my eyes away from the pool, I take in the rest of my environment. Tall pillars flank me, blanketed in written notes. Seating pillows scatter the floor. A rustic kettle sits nearby. Someone must live here, despite how eerily empty it is. Let's call him out. Hello? Is anyone there? My voice echoes across the cavern without response. I approach the paper-covered pillars. Maybe something here could tell me more. I reach for... Oh, I could say it here. Nah, the topmost. I reach for a note that's higher up. It reads, "No one will believe this, but it's not for anyone else. This is evidence I existed in this rotten, grim world. Even so, I wish I could have stayed longer. The bog girl would be lonely without me. I should have told her how I..." The rest is scratched out. I wonder who wrote this. Before I can ponder it further, a sharp chill runs down my spine. Something's watching me. I quickly set the note back, my eyes darting around the wooden deck, but it's still empty. Vacant. Finally, I look towards the sea spring. That stillness hides something deeper, something wrong. Hey! I spin around and come face to face with this pack of soulless. They chitter and growl, tendrils and spikes flaring threateningly. All different sizes and species, but sharing one identical trait. Glowing crimson eyes. I try to back away, but my heel teeters over the sea spring. I'm cornered. Watch your step. It's deeper than it looks. That voice again. At the sound of it, the soulless freeze. Their snarls quiet. Boobies! I search for the voice's source and find it above me, lounging in the rafters. Man! You look lost, little sparrow. His gaze is a violent crimson, one that sears through me, leaves me feeling raw and exposed. Lick the breets! They're the same eyes I've seen over and over. First with the scarred woman, now with the soulless circling me. All bound by the sea spring's blood red. In the shroud of darkness behind him, shapes like massive tentacles twist and coil around the wooden beams. I can't focus. The soulless' growls ring in my ears. They're not advancing, but that could change at any second. Panic rises in my throat as I struggle to track them. Hey! Eyes on me. My stomach rolls as I tear my eyes away from the soulless. Don't ignore someone who's talking to you. It's not polite. For a moment, Edgar knocks my feet aside. Who is this bastard? Fuck you! I look right into his unnerving eyes, holding his gaze defiantly. Fuck you. Is that better? A crooked grin cracks across his face. We'll work on it. His name's Bastard. Yes, sir!
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. I scan the Solus again. They really aren't attacking. Posturing more than anything else. Almost as if they're waiting for commands. Did you tame them? Power of the Sea Spring. Bork! 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 Roof! Oh! They're hungry, so they might bite. You could give me a reason to stop them. How about I didn't do anything wrong? Trespassing. And that's punishable by death? He gives a non-committal shrug. I called out earlier to see if anyone was here. Were we supposed to play hide and seek? Didn't hear you. My voice stops in my throat. This man's terse coolness is both infuriating and terrifying. I rack my brain for a way to diffuse the situation. I need help. Okay, fine. I need help. I thought the Sea Spring could cure me somehow. My voice wavers pathetically. Honesty has never been my strong suit. He cants his head to the side, appraising me, but doesn't respond. I fidget nervously. I'm telling you, I came here for help. Are you listening? Your hands. Alarm jolts through me. I hide my hands under my cloak. Show me. Why? Won't ask twice. With a sharp huff, I reluctantly hold out my bandaged hands. Are you getting off on this? Do you have a hand fetish? Unwrap them. You do have a hand fetish. Got it. Heat rushes to my face and fire to my tongue. I should give him a piece of my mind, but not when his Solus are one command from ripping me to shreds. He'd be like, these ears are just handles, baby. They don't hear shit. That's a good one. Who followed? Hello? You are Defuni. Oh, thank you for the follow, Lo-Fi. Google play deep throat my cockhead. What is that? Anyway, yet no matter how much I will myself to move, my body is frozen in place. I stand there for a long, agonizing minute. My hands are trembling when I finally raise them. I know the skin beneath the wrappings all too well, the hideous, unnatural flesh I've grown to despise. The narrative said arch back and I thought oh, you poor thing. Automod got you. I'm so sorry. I grip the edge of the bandages. Stop. Who the fuck are you to tell me to stop? With a weary sigh, the man slides off the beam and lands with a thud that shakes the panels underfoot. He's a monster, with an imposing figure that towers over me. I couldn't tell how tall he was before, but he's big, illuminated by lantern light. His features are stronger, sharper. Subtle clinks of metal accompany each of his footsteps. The closer he gets to me, the faster my heart hitches. What does he want? Is he going to kill me? I step backwards and find nothing to set my foot on. I have forgotten my back was to the Sea Spring. I fall right before a warm hand catches my lower back. I'm hovering above the Sea Spring, the scent of smoke and leather enveloping me. He's so hot, blazing crimson eyes bore into mine. Told you to watch your step. I'm gonna kill it, so I just sent it to you for you to read later. Thank you. I'm too stunned to muster a response. Like I weigh nothing, he guides me back to solid ground and steps back. The Hades guy. Zagreus? Or somebody else? He definitely doesn't look like Orpheus. Following a subtle gesture from his fingers, the Solus around us disperse and relax.
The shift in their demeanor is so abrupt it gives me whiplash. Yeah, Zagreus. I get. No, you don't play Hades. You fight Hades in Hades. The enormous tentacles are no longer in the rafters, though now I doubt I ever saw them at all. Either way, I exhale a breath of relief. Thanks. It's like a Diablo lamp. What does that mean? As focused on me as he was before, the monster pays no attention to me now. He kicks some seating pillows out of the walkways, checks the contents of the kettle with a scowl. The sudden disregard is almost insulting. So that's it? I'm not a threat anymore? Never were one. Then why did you threaten me? People get honest when they're afraid. In other words, he was messing with me. I drag a hand over my face, exhausted by the fact that this is the second time a monster has provoked me today. You're Ace, aren't you? Depends who you're asking. One of your friends told me this was your territory. She also said you were a gang leader. But there's no one else here. I thought there'd be more people. Ace picks up the kettle and walks to the edge of the sea spring, then dumps out the contents into the endless red. Gang took a walk. His pleasant smile stretches across his face, ear to ear. Then, in an instant, it drops. I get the sense that I shouldn't ask about his gang again. You said you came here for help. Diablo, where you fight Diablo. And Lamp for the throwback to the typo. Oh, got you! I've never played Diablo, and I don't have any desire to. I just don't like those types of games, and I don't like the quarter skewed top-down bullshit. Hades is the only one I tolerate with that shit. Depends. Can the sea spring cure a curse? Probably. You mean you don't know? Nope. He shakes out the empty kettle and starts collecting stray cups, tidying up. He's so fucking hot. My frustration builds. I narrow my eyes at him in a questioning glare. When he notices, he returns it with an amused smirk. Are you being irritating on purpose? Listen, Sparrow. The sea springs can cure anything. Nothing stopping you from trying it yourself. You're gonna motorboat? Hey, I turned off Nightbot being a fucking asshole about caps, so don't worry about it. You're fine. You're gonna motorboat those titties. What do I have to do? Drink. I have to drink from the sea spring? My eyes glide to the blood-like pool beside us. The idea of ingesting the strange liquid makes my guts churn. It's not as if I'm adverse to elixirs or decoctions. I've made my fair share of them. But one misstep and you can easily meet with a fate worse than death. Is there a price? Always. Ace taps his temple with a finger. You lose it a little bit. Sure you get That's it. Might have already beat it to the punch. My humor earns me an amused, fanged grin. This is a little different. When you drink from the sea spring, you forget who you are. Your mind combines with everyone who ever drank before. Humans, monsters, soulless. One big happy family in your head. No, you're gonna be hilarious tomorrow night. I know you are. You're the most funniest little guy I ever met. I can't say the F slur, but I want to call you one so bad. To reclaim it, chat. The rest of chat to reclaim it. Love you too, Boo Bear. My blood runs cold. I've heard of these before. Group minds. Some legends suggest that independent minds can be physically linked together through a strong enough catalyst. It's never been done before. But something tells me this is real. even if one thing doesn't add up. Your eyes are red too, but you obviously haven't forgotten who you are. Before I can finish my sentence, Ace strides past me towards the entrance. Time's up. Let's finish this later. Wait, already? You barely told me anything. Came on a bad day. I've got somewhere to be. Pookie! There are still so many questions burning on the tip of my tongue, but my frustration spills out before any of them. I was told to come here for help, but instead I get threatened and kicked out. You're joking, right? Watch your tone. I'm nice, but you don't want to ruin the host's mood. My skin prickles. The feeling of being watched washes over me again. My eyes dart back over to the sea spring. A lone ripple dances on the quiet surface. I take Ace's advice and clamp my mouth shut. Ace approaches a nearby soulless, a lanky, dog-like one with 6 legs and a crown of tendrils. Several sets of crimson eyes adorn its sides. Its forked tail wags rapidly when Ace squats beside it. He runs his fingers through the tendrils, scratching its chin and pats its head. A gentle smile plays across Ace's lips. The affection he holds for the soulless is painfully clear. I dip my eyes away, my stomach fluttering at the tender sight. It's getting dark out, so this pretty girl will guide you back. Following a short whistle from Ace's lips, it trots over to the entrance obediently, tail wagging. I watch the soulless warily. Pretty is not a word I would use to describe it, and the idea of it protecting me sounds absurd. If I decide to drink, how should I find you? Find someone with eyes like mine. They'll point you in the right direction. But think it over. Once you drink, you can't go back. It's a lot to process, but I give a small nod. At least I know I have another option for a cure, as disturbing as it may be. I follow the soulless at a measured distance and watch it nudge the giant doors open with ease. When I'm about to cross the threshold, I sneak one last glance behind me. Sippy sippy. My heart skips when I meet Ace's eyes. I'm about to snap my head away, but he just flashes at me an easy smile. Till next time, Sparrow. I'll buy you a drink for scaring you. I don't trust myself to do anything but respond with another curt nod. Outside, more crimson-eyed soulless scuttle about. It's hard to believe it's the same threatening pack from before. They chase each other in circles, roll around in the bog's mud. They pay no attention to me as the dog-like one escorts me away. It's an uneventful trip. Sometimes the soulless looks over its shoulder at me to make sure I'm still following it. Dusk darkens the sky by the time we reach the city. The soulless sits and looks at me expectantly with familiar crimson eyes. Pet the soulless. As nervous as I am, I carefully glide my fingers through the soulless's tendrils and scratch beneath its chin, just like Ace had. It pushes into my palm in response, rumbling with a sound akin to a purr. The vibrations are soothing, almost healing my fatigue. When it's satisfied, the soulless spins around and scampers back in the direction we came, vanishing into the darkness. It's barely my first day in Iridia, and I've already encountered so many things I thought were impossible, tamed soulless being one of them. My head spins. Maybe I should call it a day. Nightfall creeps across the streets of Iridia. The city, labyrinthine even in daytime, has become a warren of treacherous alleyways. The streets are completely deserted. If I hadn't been here earlier, I would have thought this part of the city abandoned. I make my way through the winding streets, doing my best to keep my bearing towards the wet wick. Ugh. My steps slow when I hear rustling in the dark. I strain my ears, but everything is still. Is the silence playing tricks on me? Something's wrong. The fine hairs on the back of my neck prickle. A frisson of discomfort running down my spine. Something is wrong. Hold on. Coffee is not a really great throat wetter. My eyes dart from one side of the street to the other, searching for movement. But the shadows are as deep and dark as pools of ink, and I see nothing. I can't stay here. I need to reach a busier part of the city. Drawing my cloak tighter around my body, I hurry on my way. Though I keep my eyes sharp and listen intently, there's only the sound of my own footsteps. As the moments pass and nothing happens, I begin to wonder, maybe I really did imagine that noise. I turn the next corner, and my thoughts come screaming to a halt. My head spins, the world blurring as adrenaline rushes through my veins. Only one thing is clear amidst the haze. The soulless that attacked the caravan. It's crouched over a dark, indistinct shape. A body. A garland of intestines spill from pallid flesh. Blood grouts the cobblestones. For a mercy, the soulless is too distracted by its meal to have noticed me. My feet feel as heavy as stones, but I can't just stand here.
Oh god!
Holding my breath, I take a step backwards. When the wet slurping sounds don't abate, I take another, then another. Then a shard of glass crunches under my heel. The world seems slow to a crawl as the soulless raises its head, blood dripping from its tendrils. Every single one of its sulphurous, bulging eyes fixed unblinkingly on me. It's really here. It's come back for me.
Run!
I'm off like a shot, running for my life through the darkened streets. Behind me, a piercing bay splits the silence, and heavy footfalls pound after me. My heart thunders in my chest. I take turns at random, trying to lose it in the maze of streets, but I can't seem to shake it. I can hear its breathing now, a wet fluttering rasp, growing closer and closer. The same claws that severed my arms swipe out. I duck, saved by pure reflex, and skid around the corner. I take 3 running strides before the bottom drops out of my stomach. A wall twice as high as me bars my way, a dead end. When I turn around, the soulless looms in the entry to the alleyway. It's no longer running. It doesn't have to. As it prowls closer, my thoughts race. Some of the buildings lining the streets are lit. There must be people inside. It's a long shot, but... Scream for help. Somebody help me! My voice rings through the shadowed streets. Silhouettes pass by at the windows. But nobody answers. In this wretched world, few people will stick their neck out to help their own flesh and blood. Never mind a stranger. The soulless, provoked by my shouting, gives a rasping hiss. It's the only warning I get before it lunges for me with a flash of claws. I hurl myself to the side, but the slick cobblestones betray me. I fall, sprawling over the rough stone. As the soulless looms over me, I scramble away from it until my back hits the wall. There's nowhere left to go. It descends on me for the kill. But the impact never comes. A hand. I warily crack one eye open, then the other, not sure whether I should believe what I'm seeing. A hooded figure crouches in front of me, one blood-stained hand outstretched. It's that there them! Moonlight silvers the edge of their stiletto knife. Their face and hands are splattered with blood, and the soulless. My eyes dart past my unexpected rescuer to the misshapen form behind them. The soulless's many eyes, once restless and vibrant, now look dull and waxy. A red pool spreads slowly from under its body. Numb with shock, I can't help but stare. It's dead. After all the people it's killed, after nearly killing me twice. I can hardly believe it. Well, I gingerly take the offered hand. The stranger's gaze dips to my bandages. Pale lips part on the brink of a question, then close again. With a strength belying their slight frame, they pull me to my feet. As soon as I'm on my own 2 feet again, they pull away from me and start wiping the blood from their face and hands. Stay there. They turn away from me stiffly, leaning over the Solus' gangly body. With their back towards me, I realized that I saw their hooded silhouette at the cenobium. Okay. Should we be nice or should we mention their shortness? Let's mention their shortness. You're shorter than I thought. They give me a startled look before their eyes narrow. It seems I've touched a nerve. I'm surprised you think at all. Maybe I deserve that. Before I can formulate a response, they continue. What are you thinking, traveling alone at night? This is far from the worst thing haunting Lowtown. I can't make heads or tails of them. First they say me and now they scold me? Lesson learned. I could do without the lecture, though. And I could do without you calling me short. Point taken. Their attention glides back to the Solus' corpse. They examine it with an inscrutable expression. I clear my throat to fill the silence. I'm Ryunosuke. Min. Suddenly, Min tenses. Their blade flashes as they drive it into the base of the Solus' skull, right between the cervical vertebrae. The Solus thrashes once, letting out a rattling hiss as the air leaves its lungs. Min leans on the blade, driving it deeper and deeper, until there's a sickening crunch, and the creature goes limp. My heart thuds in my chest. It must have been clinging to life by a thread. Min straightens up, withdrawing their blade in a single smooth motion. Better to put the wretched thing like this out of their misery. They calmly clean the blood from the knife. They struck with surgical precision. Their quick, clean movements are familiar. Are you a scientist? Are you a scientist? Min stops mid-motion, lifting their head to stare at me. You knew exactly where to strike. Have you studied anatomy or medicine? Not quite. Why is the Solus inside the city? Min looks at me, eyes searching before realization dawns. You're new here. There's no walls around the city. Solus can come and go as they please, until someone is contracted to stop them. The Cenobium's patrols don't bother to protect Lowtown. Not anymore. Let me guess, you're not a fan of the Cenobium either. I wouldn't go that far. Their brow abruptly furrows, and they sheath their knife, motioning for me to follow them. It's not safe here. The vultures can smell death. I'm not quite sure what they mean, but I don't want to stay lost in the city. I trail behind them as they stride down the streets. If it's so dangerous, then why are you helping me? You are making an unbearable racket. Next time you walk into a Solus' claws, at least die quietly. Their answer is stingingly harsh. I just need to find my lodgings. I hold up my hands, trying to forestall any more snippy comments. Alright, I get it. I'd love to get out of your way, but I'm sort of lost. I just need directions back to my lodgings. What makes you think I'll help you? Nothing, but there's no harm in asking. That seems to catch them off guard. Their brow knits, and they look away, scowling. How troublesome. Ryunosuke? I turn, surprised by the voice. Kurash walks down the street towards us. His white and gold clothing is pristine, despite the grime of the city. Hello, Min. I see the Solus was your work. Min shrugs. There's a familiarity to the way they regard each other. I didn't know you had friends, Min. I don't. Freelance work is dangerous and Kurash is a doctor. That's all. Ryunosuke needs to get back to wherever he's staying before he wanders into the jaws of another Solus. It is late. Were you able to find a place to stay, Ryunosuke? I'm staying at the Red Wick. Both their faces fall. I see.
Would you like a guide? It might be preferable to wandering about alleyways. That would be nice. Min clicks their tongue and sighs, sounding mightily put out. Going to the Amaryllis district? That gaudy cesspit? Come, this way. Despite Min's clear distaste, when Crush leads me down the street, they keep pace with us. Catching my curious glance, Min's eyes narrow. It's not safe this late. I don't care about you, but Crush is the only doctor with a dam in this place. Are you like this with everyone? The deadpan look Min gives me is answer enough. I catch Crush hiding a slight smile. I suppress a sigh and resign myself to having a grumpy shadow all the way back to the wet wick. The route Crush takes is completely different from my slow meandering earlier in the morning. In no time at all, he cuts through darkened streets and twisting alleyways. It's so pretty. It seems like half the city is poured into the Amaryllis district's colorful streets. Laughter, clinking glasses, and music assault my ears from every direction. Yet the most noise still comes to the wet wick. Its doors hanging wide open, lanterns lit. Backshot. Here we are. He moves towards the door and Min lets out an audible huff. Don't tell me you're going in. I have some quick business with Leander. Fine. He still owes me for yesterday's work. They drag their feet, reluctantly trailing me into the tavern. As soon as the doors open, a wave of sticky heat rolls over me. In the hours since I left, the wick has grown suffocatingly crowded. Crush stands out, easily a head taller than most. Even so, I nearly lose sight of him amid the sea of swarming bodies. Pardon me? The crowd parts as though answering his request. Crush glances over his shoulder at Min and me before gliding through. How can anyone breathe in here? Min follows Crush at a clipped pace. Leander is right where I left him, although he's traded places with the bartender. He holds a pair of shot glasses filled to the brim with luminous green liquid. And now for the finishing touch. A flash of magic paints the glasses white with frost. You're never gonna guess what's in these. Leander slides the glasses across the bar, and I get my third and fourth shocks of the evening in rapid succession. Ace leans against the bar, an elbow propped up on the counter. He catches the glasses and lifts one to the light before turning it upside down. The contents magically congealed, staying firmly in place. You're supposed to make drinks, pretty boy. Don't tell me you're wasted already. Veer, perched on the bar's counter beside Ace, takes a single look at the shot glass and shakes his head. What have we here? A bucket full of boogers. Leander's nose treasure. You've eaten worse. Veer's lips twitch and his ears flatten when Ace offers him a glass. He turns his cheek with a sniff, and Ace just snickers. Coward. Don't tell me you're actually... In one fluid motion, Ace throws back his head and downs the shot. Drinking that. A dark look crosses Ace's face. It's chewy. Chewy? Wait, let me try again. Behind me, Min grumbles. I told you this place was a nest of degenerates. If it isn't Karash and Min! At the sound of Leander's voice, Min's pale eyes grow wide. They look ready to bolt until Karash sets a hand on their shoulder. I promise this will not take long. Min's eyes dart from Karash's hands to his face, then soften. Fine, you first. While they step forward, I linger behind, struck by a sudden revelation. All the people I've met today know each other. Good evening, Leander. Ace, another drink competition, I presume? Oh, is it evening already? Could have sworn it was earlier. Just some friendly rivalry, Doctor. Nothing to be afraid of. Karash acknowledges Leander and Ace with the slightest nod, ignoring Veer entirely. Not that Veer seems to mind. He tilts his head and an impish smile curves his lips when he spots Min looming silently behind Karash. I almost didn't see you there, Min. Looking for your booster seat? Min pushes back their hood. They level Veer with a cool look. I thought Ace wasn't allowed to bring his pets in here. Veer's tail gives an angry twitch. At the first sign of an impeding fight, Leander vaults clear over the counter. He slides in between Ace and Karash. Now, let's try and keep the peace. It's not every day the esteemed doctor takes us up on a drink. His arm snakes around Karash's shoulders. You are finally taking me up on that drink, right, Karash? I am afraid not. We were merely escorting Ryunosuke back to his lodgings. Karash gestures in my direction, and my stomach sinks. I reluctantly step into the light. As soon as he sees me, Leander's face brightens. Ryu! It's been too long! Everyone, this is Ryu! He's new to Iridia! I feel 5 pairs of eyes fix onto me, and suddenly the bar feels suffocatingly small. My voice nearly catches in my throat. We've already met! Actually, I've already met everyone! You've already met? Ace and Veer level me with subtly amused expressions. Veer's tail gives a lazy wag. We did, not that long ago either. I'm starting to suspect he's stalking me. He looks far too pleased with himself when I roll my eyes. God, that thigh! I want to bite it! This calls for drinks. What does everyone want? In an instant, all eyes turn to Leander, freeing me from the burden of attention. I still can't believe they all know each other. Watching them talk amongst themselves feels surreal. But for the first time since I undertook the journey to Iridia, I feel a faint glimmer of hope. I know I was meant to meet them. The low, pleasant rumble of Leander's laughter pulls me from my restless thoughts. Ha! Well, color me surprised! You make friends fast, Ryu! I wouldn't go that far. We're more like acquaintances? A wise man once said that acquaintances are merely friends you haven't shared a drink with yet. A wise man? You said that here last week. I can hear Min's lip curl with distaste from across the bar. Leander clears his throat and continues unperturbed. Let's toast to Ryu's health. Care to join in, Doctor? Karash politely declines with a wave of his hand. How about you, Min? No. Are you? No! A resounding pop pierces the din of the bar. We all turn in the direction of the noise. Veer looks almost bashful as he accepts an overflowing flute from the bartender, poured from a bottle so old its label has been worn blank. They serve champagne here? Since when? Veer pauses in the middle of licking champagne foam from his fingers with a coy smile. You don't mind, do you? In a transformation as impressive as his magic trick, the concern on Leander's face vanishes. He laughs softly. No, be my guest. I know you got expensive taste. Then he shoots the bartender a frantic look. Unbothered or uninterested in his company, Ace cants his head at me, a light smile on his lips. How about you, Sparrow? I did say I'd buy you a drink earlier. No, my treat! Ace regards Leander over the lip of his glass. In the dim light, the glint in his crimson eye looks downright dangerous. What'll it be, Ryu? That one. That one right there. I'll take you up on that drink, as long as it's not from one of those green shots. Don't knock them till you try them. They taste better than they look. Somehow, I doubt that, but I hold my tongue long enough for Leander to go behind the bar. He's lying, isn't he? When I glance at Ace, he only shrugs. Like I said, they were chewy, probably poison too. He considers his own drink, a tumbler of amber-colored whiskey. Leander's tried to kill me 12 times now. It's always a gamble. Veer clicks his tongue in disapproval. When he finally looks my way, it's with a half-lidded gaze softened by his third glass of champagne. Damn, he fucking drinks them like shots! Well, I wouldn't let Leander put anything in my mouth. He fans his fingers over his chest, voice dripping with fake reverence. The Wet Wick is one of the finest drinking establishments in all of Iridia.
While you're here, you may as well partake of the signature watered-down drinks and stale nut leather. Huh? Nut leather? He sweeps his hand towards a chipped ceramic bowl filled with spindly, speckled jerky that I can only assume is nut leather. What is with the food in this city? As abysmal as you make it sound, this place is completely packed. It's not all bad. Depending on the day, the food's edible. Ace takes a measured sip of his drink. Gotta stick around for the real attractions, though. Before I can ask what he means, Leander returns with a tumbler that he sets in front of me. Uneven chunks of ice bob in a pool of reddish-purple alcohol. Lord help me. I eye the drink suspiciously. It better not be another disgusting concoction of Leander's. Ellipses. Relax, it's just the local specialty, plum gin. Although if you're feeling more adventurous... I shake my head. Leander raps his knuckles against the bar until the group falls silent. Alright everyone, let's toast. May Ryunosuke's stay in Iridia be full of bright adventures and discoveries. Cheers! Leander, Ace, and Veer raise their glasses in unison. Min only crosses their arms, and Karash watches with a polite indifference. I tip back my drink. The plum gin is eye-wateringly strong. Despite a sharp medicinal edge, it goes down smooth. Speaking of sippies. One sip softens the edges of my vision. The next fades the din of the crowded bar into a low, persistent murmur. I find myself unwinding for what feels like the first time in years. Aren't you the popular one, Ryunosuke? I'm guessing you met Crash first? It would be more accurate to say that I found him. He saved my life. I merely performed my duty as a doctor. Although I must admit that I was confused when I woke up missing all my clothes. Leander makes a choked noise. Somewhere behind him, Min sighs. It's not what you think. Ryunosuke was in grave condition. I could hardly treat such injuries through tattered clothes. The silence that follows stretches uncomfortably long. I look away, unable to face Kurash's disappointment, and catch Veer snickering behind his hand. That's my cue to change the topic. Kurash isn't the only one who saved me today. Don't you listen? I didn't save you. You were simply there. That's Min for you. Leander reaches for Min, but they duck under his arm with practiced ease, without so much as looking his way. As reliable as they are moody. You're one to talk, considering you neglected to warn him to stay off the streets at night. I might have gotten a little distracted. Min's only response is a short breath. At any rate, I never got a chance to thank you, Min. Don't. The less Solus alive, the better. For a heartbeat, Min's eyes flick towards Ace, and their lips twist. Ace is too busy nodding along to Veer's enthusiastic pantomime of stabbing to notice, lost, no doubt, in an enthralling discussion. I've had enough of this hellhole. Let's go. Min and Kurash share a brief look, then the doctor speaks up. Very well, but there is something that I must discuss with Leander. If you'll excuse me, Ryu. And just like that, the three of them depart, leaving me alone to savor my gin in silence. Or so I think, until I hear a voice so soft and low it's practically a purr. Lost your tour guide? I turn to find crimson and pink eyes trained on me. It's not lost on me that they chose the instant the others left to strike. Just my luck. I had to be abandoned with the two most irritating people I've met all day. Monsters or not, there's no telling what I'll do if either of them push me again. Don't tell me Leander already snuck off to get his knob slobbered up back. He's got business with Crash and Min. 2-on-1 business, Isn't he lucky? I can't tell if it's the champagne or the company, but Veer has grown noticeably more relaxed. He sits with his chin propped on the back of his hand. His ears twitch whenever a hiccup shakes his shoulders. Why are you so far away? Come join us! Come. He pats the empty bar stool beside Ace, but I hesitate. The smile Veer wears is sweet and distinctly sly.
And with the drinks and the misc, I dread how he and Ace will mess with me next. We don't bite. I'm not sure about that. Just hours ago, he tried to rob me, and you threatened me. Me? Steal? Surely you must be mistaken. You sure it was me? Yes, it was you. And then you had the gall to kick me out just so you could go drinking. He gives another one of his shrugs. I was lonely. A simpler answer than I expected, but I guess I can't fault him for that. Veer suddenly slumps forward, gossamer sleeves pulling where he rests his elbows on his knees. Ace sets his hand on Veer's waist, narrowly preventing him from tipping off the counter. How about we start fresh, Begin with proper introductions, get off on the right foot and whatnot. I'll start. The name's Veer, hunter extraordinaire. Veer's right hand flutters to his chest, and he bows his head, flinching when hair falls into his eyes. Ace doesn't say anything, so I suppose it's my turn now. It's Fianasque. Veer considers me for a long moment, his tail idly swaying behind him. Then he knocks back the rest of his champagne. It's a pleasure to formally meet you, Ryunosuke. He says my name slowly and deliberately, savoring every syllable. A tingle jumps down my spine. I quickly turn my gaze away. Ace smirks at my reaction over the rim of his glass. Is something funny? Nope. I open my mouth and close it just as quickly. They want me to react, goading me into another ridiculous game. While their sharp cat-like eyes keep me on edge, something about this tension is fun. It must be the gin. A flash of white over Ace's shoulder catches my eye. Across the bar, Kurash heads for the door. I don't see Leander or Min, but it feels wrong to let him leave without saying goodbye. I'll be back. Veer hums and wags his fingers at me as I leave. I slip through the crowd, careful not to touch anyone, but just as I'm nearing Kurash... Duh! I stagger, shoulder checked by a man with a neck thicker than both my thighs. He stares down at me, nostrils flaring. Out of my way, shit-stain! My words spill out on their own. You watch it! I regret them as soon as they leave my mouth. That fucking gin! The roughneck wheels around, shoving a bloodhound out of the way so he can get close in on me. What you say? He shoves me backwards, sending me stumbling to the sticky floor. I'm fine, but my heart leaps into my throat when I see the roughneck bearing down on me. You trying to start something here? The roughneck freezes, his fists cocked back. A group of bloodhounds called by the commotion circle him, sizing him up. For what feels like an agonizingly long moment, Roughneck looks from me to the bloodhounds. Finally, he sniffs and spits on the floor next to me, the lob narrowly misses my cheek. Screw it. Too many freaks in the circus tonight. He turns his back on me and comes face to face with Ace. A dangerous smile spreads across his face. You'll do. What happens next is a blur. Ace's fists crash into the roughneck's jaw, causing an eruption of gas, shouts, and even cheers around us. I scramble to my feet right as the frantic crowd swarms me, cutting off my sight of everything and everyone. Through the ruckus, I hear Leander shouting. Hey, hey! Ace, take it outside! Ignore them, everyone! Look, drinks are on me! With those 4 words, the wick erupts with hoots and hollers. The ring around me disperses as bloodhounds and onlookers rush towards the bar. Through the thinning crowd, I catch glimpses of familiar faces. Ace vanishes out the back, dragging the roughneck behind him. Kurash lingers near the door, searching, I suspect, for any wounded before he departs. Min draws their hood up tight as they slip out a side door, while Veer leans over the counter to swipe a glass of wine from behind the bar. And Leander, seated at the opposite end of the bar, gestures dramatically and apologetically at the bartender. In the space of a heartbeat, I realize that there's no telling when or if I'll see any of them ever again. Whoever I pursue may be the last person I get to speak to tonight. I follow. My Pookie Bear, Veer! Of all the people I've met, only one left me more questions than answers.
Veer knows more than he's letting on. I'm certain of it. And if he's feeling as playful as he was earlier, I might be able to get information out of him. Still lingering doubt looms heavy over my decision. Can I really trust someone who lies so readily? Returning to the bar is slow work with the heavy crowd vying for drinks. When I find Veer, he's leaning against the counter with his elbows propped on the edge and a wine glass raised to his lips. Not for the first time I catch myself staring, and judging by the looks I see thrown his way, I'm not the only one. Yet there's a clear ring around Veer no one else seems bold enough to cross. One ear perks at the sound of my approach, but Veer doesn't so much as look my way, even when I slide onto the seat beside him. I didn't think you planned on sticking around. A free drink's a free drink, even if it tastes like raw piss. Didn't you say you wouldn't be caught dead slumming in this shithole? Veer takes a delicate sip from his glass, but his tail thrushes below the bar. You've caught me red-handed. He peers at me over the rim of the glass. In the low light, his eyes glitter jewel-bright with amusement. However will you punish me? I figured my company's punishment enough for you. Veer's lips twitch, and he smiles despite himself. So you survived the night, and here you are. Are you here for praise, or will a head pat do? I feel a muscle in my jaw flex at the cruel twist to his smile. No, I want the head pat. Give me the head pat. Let me have head pat, please. It's right here. Head pat. His arrogance has made a full recovery, meaning only one thing. Veer has sobered up. So much for my plan. About that, turns out you were right. I did run into trouble. Now I can't decide if you're an oracle, an actual threat, or just completely full of shit. Veer scoffs. Most men would buy me a drink before insulting me. After the way you jerked me around? If anyone's owed a drink, it's me. Veer falls so uncharacteristically quiet that for a moment I fear that I've actually crossed the line. Then he props his chin on his wrist. I don't think you understand how things work here. Information is a luxury, one you flung carelessly aside. I'm not following. If you valued my words, you'd have taken them seriously. I gave you free advice, warned you of the danger you were in, and still you went prancing off to the sea spring. Small wonder the Solus didn't tear you to ribbons. My first impulse is to argue, but what he said doesn't sit well with me. How does he know what happened to me? How'd you know I left? How do you know I left Iridia? I have a very sensitive nose, remember? Right, how could I forget? Do you normally greet people by shoving your nose into their laps like an over-eager Labrador? For a heartbeat, Veer's eyes grow wide and flat. Then he laughs under his breath. Only the ones I like. Veer trades his empty wineglass for a long-abandoned tumbler, sweating beside him. Soft lumps of ice bob in the watery dregs of whiskey. But the truth is, I despise most people. His eyes flicker over my shoulder, and thin as Leander's boisterous laughter erupts from the other side of the bar. What about me? Now that we've started off on the right foot... He turns, angling so he can look me over. His gaze is agonizingly slow as it glides over me. Finally, his lips quirk. I haven't made up my mind about you yet. It's a start, or so I think, until his eye slides away and he turns back towards the bar. It's not Veer's attitude that bothers me. No, I expected that of him. It's the fact that I've got no idea how I'm supposed to hold a conversation, much less get answers, when he's being so testy, and his foul mood is infectious. Did I do something to piss you off? He lets out a short breath. No. Another lie. I'm close enough to catch the subtle bristling of his tail. I'm just disappointed. People like us can't help but attract danger. You seek it out, and for what? Cheap thrills? I wasn't trying to get eaten by Solus. There's something I'm looking for. And you think Min can help you? Leander, are you really willing to risk your life with those dipshits? What life? You got no idea what I've gone through, or... Forget it. I start to rise, but Veer touches my shoulder. It's a little more than a brush, but enough to give me pause. His eyes search mine, softer somehow than before. They couldn't even begin to understand you, but I could. I could help you if only you'd listen. How do I know I could trust you? You don't, but I'm slightly less inclined to waste your time with empty flattery or insults than these two. Is what you desire really worth risking your life for? If you knew the kind of life I've lived, you wouldn't be asking. Veer considers the condensation sweating from his glass for a long moment before speaking again. Will you trust me? He looks down his nose at me, effortlessly imperious, with one hand set on his lip, and for a breath I'm reminded of the stark want that gleamed in his eyes when he touched me. If he weren't so pretty, I'd walk away. But I needed answers, and I can't think of a better way than starting with the people I met earlier. If Veer doesn't prove trustworthy, maybe one of them will. First I ask about... Let's go down the list. Ace. I'd like to know more about Ace. You two seem close. He made an impression, Not surprising. He's strong, ruthless, easy on the eyes. Gives it almost as well as he takes it, even if he's awfully greedy. Big, everywhere else. Bit simple, but you know what they say about still waters. I don't, but I'm too distracted by the change that's come over Veer to ask. Coy smile plays at his lips as he winds a finger around the chain dangling from his collar. I thought you didn't like most people. Ace isn't most people. He's better. Our eyes meet and Veer's tender expression curdles. He makes a tiny sound of distaste in the back of his throat. They have history. He's more trouble than he's worth. Dangerous, too. Stay away from him and those red-eyed freaks if you value your safety or your sanity. Is that why you scolded me for going to the Sea Spring? I really don't think Ace is as bad as you're saying. You don't know him. Not like I do. The corner of his lip twitches. Let's ask about Min. I've got to admit, I was surprised to see that you and Min know each other. Are you friends? Oh, yes. We laugh and go shopping and have sleepovers where we braid each other's hair and kiss with little tongue. I'm beginning to wonder if Veer's ever had friends. Let me guess, you don't like them. I can't stand them. The first time we met, they stabbed me! Slid cold hot steel between my ribs, nearly nicked my heart. It was exquisite. The knife, I mean. Some sort of antique. Min's done nothing but disappoint me ever since. So you're not close. Can you imagine me being friends with that crabby little killjoy? Impossible. Not unless they learn to line up. And I'm afraid not even a surgeon as practiced as Courage could remove the stick wedged firmly up Min's pert ass. Leander. What do you think about Leander? I don't. An unusually curt answer for Veer. I don't buy it. So you're not very fond of him? I wouldn't spit on Leander if he were on fire. Veer shudders. Oh no, he'd enjoy that far too much. To call Leander trash would be an insult to manure. He's a pathetic, slimy little man-child in big, shiny shoes. I've seen mutts rutting in gutters with more dignity. I have to remember to close my mouth. Before I can ask my next question, Veer gives a frustrated growl. Don't you dare ask me about another soul. I haven't got all night for idle gossip. But I wasn't finished asking. You get 2 more questions, make them count. So much for being helpful. I suppose that's just how information works in this exhausting city. No more time for idle chatter. I'll get straight to the point. Leander told me that the Cenobia imprisons people. Did he mean you? Leander's a moaning fool with a throbbing victim complex. He loves to see himself as a savior, but the only difference between his cronies and the Cenobium stooges are the uniforms. I'm at a loss for words. Ooh! I don't know what surprised me more, the bluntness with which Veer spoke, or the venom lacing his ordinary silken voice. Grazes his lips. Can I please? Our eyes meet. His thin with amusement. No, you may look, but don't touch. He lets go of my arm. I smooth down my bandages more to get a grip from it than anything else. I can't lose my composure again. By now, I'd fully expected Veer to begin walking away. But the fact that he's still here suggests that he's either forgotten about his warning, or he was never counting my questions to begin with. Are you saying that's what'll happen Are you saying that's what'll happen if the Cenobium finds out I'm different? I'll be collared? Doubtful. They keep me around because I'm the best at what I do. And what exactly do you do well? Killing. He says it carelessly, without hesitation. As long as I wear this collar, I'm made to hunt the Cenobium's dizzying array of enemies. Monsters, soulless, noisy dissidents who grow ever bold. I'm bound by their will until the day I die. That's awful. Veer murmurs in agreement. It is, isn't it? And that's all you're getting from me. I really must leave now. I'll be late. That's it? Why'd you bring me here if you weren't going to explain anything? He has the nerve to laugh. Isn't that obvious? I want to lure you out here alone so I can eat you. You're lying again. And you're asking far too many questions for someone hiding so much. He sneers, and reflectively I shove my hands deep in my cloak. What makes you think I'm hiding anything? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the tough act, or the way you tense up at the slightest provocation. More likely it's the bandages. Not exactly subtle, I'll be going, unless you're willing to share some morsels with me. There's a biting edge to his playful tone. I can't tell you anything. Wrong. You could start with what you are. You take a step backward, but... My back hits a wall as Veer follows me in the lockstep. I turn, only find his left hand resting on the wall beside my head, caging me in. Cabedon!
Fear reaches for me. His fingers curl around my chin and lift, forcing me to meet his lidded gaze. Would you believe me if I said that the eyes are the windows to the soul? My eyelid twitches. Cliché, I know, but let me tell you a little secret. Fear leans in until his lashes tickle my cheek and the warm, faintly spiced scent of his hair drowns out the stench of greasy cooking fires and chimney smoke. There's nothing you can hide from me. His voice is so low, so supple I could slip into it. The misery born of your mistreatment haunts you. I understand what it's like to be used and thrown away. I'll give your life new meaning. I swallow thickly. How could he possibly know? No, this must be some kind of trick. But for once, Fear isn't smiling. All that suffering has made your soul so irresistible. His piercing eyes pin me to the spot. The look on his face makes my blood run cold. I've seen it before. Traveling through the wastes, the lanterns would occasionally reveal carcasses picked clean by starving scavengers whose eyes shone in the dark with the same ravenous hunger. Fear takes a shuddering breath. You're trembling. What if you and I went somewhere quieter, alone? I swear there was a red option before, but I'm gonna save in slot 4. Alright. First, we're gonna surrender. I'm sick of running, of hurting, of suffering. Surrendering completely is the easiest thing I've ever done. Before I can finish, Fear hushes me. A gloved thumb runs across my lips, bringing the taste of leather when it dips into my mouth. He bends closer and closer. Through the gauzy veil of his hair, I see shadows spread in whorls of smoke, eddies of darkness peeling off the walls and blooming to blot out the moon. Sensation flees with the light, leaving me numb to everything except the sudden pressure of a hand tightening around my throat. Something snaps, and the bitter tang of copper floods my mouth. Fear's lips crush mine as he swallows the reedy thread of my final breath. This time, death comes swiftly and permanently. And that's the first bad end you can actually get in this game. Oh, cool. It just loads right back into it. Nice. It didn't do that before. I think that's what one of the updates was. Way back when they were actually updating the demo. I'm sure the demo will get more updates when the release date comes closer. Fear reaches for me. His fingers curl around my chin and lift, forcing me to meet his lidded gaze. Would you believe me if I said that the eyes are the windows to the soul? My eyelids twitch. Cliché, I know, but let me tell you a little secret. Fear leans in until his lashes tickle my cheek, and the warm, faintly spiced scent of his hair drowns out the stench of greasy cooking fires and chimney smoke. There's nothing you can hide from me. His voice is so low, so supple, I could slip into it. The misery born of your mistreatment haunts you. I understand what it's like to be used and thrown away. I'll give your life new meaning. I swallow thickly. How could he possibly know? No, this must be some kind of trick. But for once, Fear isn't smiling. All that suffering has made your soul so irresistible. His piercing eyes pin me to the spot. The look on his face makes my blood run cold. I've seen it before. Traveling through the wastes, the lanterns would occasionally reveal carcasses picked clean by starving scavengers whose eyes shone in the dark with the same ravenous hunger. Fear takes a shuddering breath. You're trembling. What if you and I went somewhere quieter, alone? Resist! Part of me wants nothing more than to let him take me, to surrender completely to him. It would be so easy.
but I'm not about to give up now. You're late. The Ludus. Veer blinks. His voice comes out soft and breathy. Shame. He eases back, and for what feels like the first time since he cornered me, I breathe. But my relief is short-lived. Nimble fingers trail down my jaw before closing around my throat. The touch is feather-light and teasing, but my pulse still leaps. One last thing, Ryu. Spoken so softly that the pounding my heart nearly drowns out his words. Call me a dog again, and I'll break you. Understood? His lips curve, but there's no humor in his voice. Yeah. Good. As soon as Veer releases me, I sink against the alley wall to catch my breath. He looks down on me, his expression distinctly smug. Let's get one thing straight. I ate a monster 3 times your size for breakfast. 2, actually. The first tasted dreadful, like a fisherman's old ashtray, but that's beside the point. You and I may be alike, but don't ever forget what I am, or what I do best. He flashes me a dazzling smile. Ryu! Anyone seen Ryu? Leander's voice echoes from the direction of the wick. I whip around. I nearly call back before remembering Veer's apparent distaste for Leander. I glance back at Veer. Only he's gone. Vanished into the dark. I'm left in the deserted alley, trembling with a delirious mixture of exhaustion and excitement. Fuck. I let out a long, shaky exhale that condenses in the freezing air. Only once my racing heartbeat slows do I make my way back towards the wick, guided by the distant sound of Leander's voice. And then you get to choose which one you go after. And there should be, like, 2 more. I can't remember if you buy the DLC or not. We'll just pick him for now. Okay. Veer, the changed charlatan. Veer serves as a warning of the dangers posed by the Cenobium. As cunning as he is curious, Veer finds you fascinating, and insists that he can help. But trusting him means entrusting your life to a collared beast with a lethal reputation. Can Veer protect you, or are his honeyed words a trap waiting to snap shut? Leander? The heroic mage. Leander offers you something that should be impossible, a taste of normalcy free of your curse. As the first person to withstand your touch, he could change your life. But some things are simply too good to be true. Leander promises to help unravel your curse, but at what cost? The Demon Renegade. An intimidating yet laid-back outsider, Ace presides over a sea spring with unnerving powers. He offers you a miracle, but the price means submitting yourself to the horrifying presence at the heart of the spring. Will you gaze into the abyss for answers, even at the risk of losing yourself? Kurash? The Repentant Angel? From all appearances, Kurash is a principled doctor of extraordinary skill. But you know little about the man beneath the professional mask. And Kurash keeps even his friends at a cool distance. If you uncover his deepest secret, will you like what you find? And Min, the Cursed Outsider. Despite their cold nature and familiarity with violence, Min is just as desperate as you to get into the Cenobium. You may be able to help each other, but they're keeping as many secrets as you. They claim they're dangerous, but could they be your only chance at getting into the Cenobium? And once you hit confirm in the demo, it just gives you that. Thank you for playing. That website right there, they have, like I said, they update all backers like on a monthly basis. And they're very, very good about keeping us all in the loop, which is amazing compared to what their, well, I can't even say their former studio was, because so a lot of the people working on this are former devs and artists from
Nyx Hydra, I believe. But here's the thing. A lot of those artists and devs never worked on any of their famous games, like the Arcana. And I was originally very nervous to back this because of the Nyx Hydra association. Because back when the Arcana was getting funded, it was a shit show. Apparently people had to complain for months and even a year after the Kickstarter ended so that they could get their art books or whatever the hell they ordered. And then Arcana came out and it was a fucking pay-to-play piece of shit. I had to actually download a fucking hacked version of the game so that I could play it. And I do enjoy the story in that game, but if you try to play that thing raw, you are never getting through it in, like, a single week. You just are not. Every single thing is locked behind monetization. It's so depressing. Let me see if I can't pull up the Kickstarter for Touchstarved. Okay. Oops. Let's see if I can't get my browser. Oh, actually, it might not be a good idea. Oh, it won't even fucking show. But... yeah, then let me change back. But pretty much... oh, why is this so loud? Why did it get so loud? Never mind. Okay. So... their Kickstarter, I actually will just paste it into the chat. You can view all... not fucking... stop that. You can view everything that they have planned, all the goals that they hit. I came in like a few months into the Kickstarter, I think, and I was still able to get the art book bundle secured, which is really nice. I love art books so much. Oh, they did have an unlocked goal for spicy sprites and extra poses. So I don't know if I'll be able to stream this when it comes out, which really sucks. I would love to. Let's see. They also have love letters planned. Oh, and they're also doing plushies. And there's going to be a Nintendo Switch port, so if you don't want to play on PC, you can do that. Let's see. Oh, they're also giving postcards to the backers as well. If you ask for them, I think. God, I cannot wait for the art book to come out. I love art books so much. I have like almost an entire shelf full of them. But that's just me being an art hound, that's all. Alright. Let's see. That's all the time I have for the night. I kind of want to just go into 14 and hang around for a little bit before I do anything else. Or go to sleep for the night, I guess. Tomorrow, I have a lot of chores to do. I have to vacuum. I kind of want to bake. I have dinner to make. But I do plan on playing Spyro for a little bit. And then Sunday, I plan on either drawing or playing more Spyro. I'm thinking about drawing since I need to make an actual, like, background for my in-betweens and everything. That, and I want to make a character sheet and a tummy for my guy, my little avatar. Alright, I think we're good to go. I hope everybody had a wonderful time. I hope you guys enjoyed the demo. And I hope you have a wonderful night.